yourself in and get ready. The leaders in NBL Supercoach are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Hello and welcome back to the Insight NBL Show. This is our review show. So come in, pop a tinny, start your week just right. Mate, on the Supercoach Matrix, I'm here with Hammer. For those wondering where my short reviews were this week, I somehow bricked my phone and I am now currently using a rose gold about iPhone 3 Hammer, which does not do very well on, what do the kids call it, the TikTok?
Yeah, it looks you're probably going to work out with your thumb having to hit the 7 4 times to get an S. It's going old school.
mate, it was that or a Nokia 3310 while the old phone's getting fixed. Apparently, I've fixed it up with too much NBL content, but I'm sure that's what they said in the background after I left, and they had a look at my search history. But on today's show, we're gonna go through how we went, breaking news, some game reviews, our squeeze of the week, and if we've got time, we're gonna have a chat about some lowest break evens. As always, we are pretty chill on a Monday, but let's have a chat about how we went, mate. First, I kind of want to shout out to Matty Granger in the chat. Big fan of the show. Part of our Patreon, part of our Discord, a big member in our community. Loves his NRL and getting involved in all aspects of Supercoach sport. He's just went from about number 9th to number 8th. The big dog's in some good stead heading into round 5.
Yeah, man, this is monumental, especially off the back of such a horrendous round. Like, I know you've come in here and you've called it the review show. I'm not feeling like it's a review week, man. It's more like a post-mortem. I just about called time of death on my season this week, and it's on life support at the best of times right now. So that's a massive effort to jump up to number 1. We'll see how long we can hold it. But hey, we might have the number 1 player again 2 years in a row.
Yeah, we'd love that. The big dog made some big moves this week. Imagine winning a week where you started Kyle Adnam. I can't. I personally can't.
If any week this is going to happen, this is the week. It really was a week where the big dogs failed to fire, and some of these role players popped up and played like they were superstars. Shout out Leupepe, my main man, Sam Wardenberg, and Kyle Adnam, and a few others, Will Hickey, who played like we should have been captaining him.
Yeah, played like Prime Shaq. You got anything else to go on about yours, or do you want me to head into my week?
Look, I'll get mine out of the way before you go into yours. There's not much to say. I went from 400th to about 1900th, dropped 1,552 spots. Captain Adams, and have been kind of rocking in the corner, crying myself to sleep, listening to Adele ever since.
Mate, to be completely honest, I try not to get too disappointed with captaining somebody that got injured. And that's probably what I'm going to say to all the guys that went out there, Captain Adams, or even just had Adams in their squad. Like, Sydney weren't very forthcoming in the fact that there was an injury. They're saying there wasn't an injury. I reckon they just didn't disclose it. The back to have that much strapping on that far into the first game of the round. Look, they knew they weren't that forthcoming. We got caught out, but it's only early in the season, and it's only a couple of Whereas dropping spots is only one captain option, moving up spots is only one more captain option. So everybody needs to keep on playing. Look, if the guy winning the comp is out here starting blokes like Kyle Adnam, I tell you what, you might be able to turn a corner and rise the ranks pretty quickly. So.
For sure. There's always tomorrow, and round 5 is just around the corner. So we'll do our best to prepare you for that. But maybe just keep an eye on the comments and listen to what Matty Granger wants to do rather than us.
Mate, I didn't have too bad of a week. I always knew that it was a week I was going to drop, not being able to get Xavier Cooks and not being able to get Jalen Adams. But after the first game, I was like, oh, I was talking about this week as if I was going to drop, like you said, 1,500 spots. But
Yeah.
in reality, I got away with only dropping 400 spots. Got my captain wrong, went out and captained Kendrick Davis. Played a couple guys. I only had 3 guys on doubles, and still held some rounds. So still top 500, dropped 400 spots.
Yeah.
But pretty happy with that because tossing up the idea of ripping a boost and hopefully making up some spots this week.
Yeah, for sure. It just shows how much a good captain pick can flip you around. And I've got an article coming out on Patreon either this week or next week, just reviewing our top captain picks for the first 5 rounds, and comparing that as a percentage of what the top scorer scored each round, and trying to look at 75% of that as a pass mark, and we'll sort of keep a track of it along the season and see how we go. But yeah, getting that captain right is going to be a big difference. If you nail a couple in a row, you're going to shoot up those rankings pretty quick.
Mate, look, I'm excited to head into some breaking news. First up, that's brought to us by Game Day Squad. They've been great sponsors over the last month or so. Game Day Squad gives out the best weekly rewards in all of Australian fantasy basketball, and it's never too late to win due to their weekly competitions. It's free to play and free to win. And I know that this is something, and I keep mentioning it, that sounds like it contradicts itself, but they have weekly competition, but it's still a dynasty platform. So if you go in there, you can buy up some guys quite cheaply that you expect to be better in the NBL over the next couple years. You can really build a squad for years coming, so that you can win in the next couple years, because those guys are going to be worth real cash in the future, if you can get that right. And I suppose that's what I like about that format. But yeah, mate, let's head into the breaking news.
It's time for some news from around the league.
There's a bit going on this week. Look, Olden's reported today that the 36ers are in advanced talks to negotiate a contract extension with Montrezl Harrell to remain with them for the rest of the season. We know the 36ers are going into a very quiet patch in the schedule, which will allow Jarrell Martin to work his way back into fitness. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on, because they have a really good back end of the season to see how the three bigs work together, because Ice Humphries has come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of weeks. And a bit of news out of Southeast Melbourne, where after they went 0-5, Mike Kelly was invited for a cup of coffee Sunday morning and said, don't come Monday. So they've got Sammy Mack, Big Sam McKinnon, who came down from Brisbane earlier this year to be the interim head coach, and started to sort of play around with. Similar situation in Brisbane. He took over from James Duncan after the team was doing no good, and we've got a bit of an uptick in Supercoach scores as a result of it. So I'm wondering if we get the same, refreshed coach, some tighter rotations, we see a bit of an uptick from the Phoenix.
Yeah, look, never a good situation, coach losing his spot. But I was a little bit worried going into Southeast Melbourne's triple double that they've got coming after this week. I'm going to be having a real look this week at Southeast Melbourne, because I think it's easy to get Melbourne United players in this stretch. They have the same same schedule, 3 triple doubles in a row, but a little bit harder. And I think that you can make some move by getting the right Southeast Melbourne guys. So yeah, I think I'll definitely be trying to save some cash for a Matt Hertz. I would love a guard from there. If under McKinnon, we can see a little bit of uptick from one of them. That's hard, but I don't like the guards really from Melbourne either. So it's hard either way.
Look, Matty Hurt's a big one. I feel like he'll be a mainstay. They don't have any other options there. Derek Walton Jr., maybe he hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been as good as we hoped. Maybe under the new coach, potentially a new system. I don't know how much they can put in another week or two, but he might be it. But right now, we've called it since the early preseason. Sobey probably should have gone alongside Mike Kelly.
Yeah, probably. He does have a history with Sam McKinnon, so maybe we can we can see some revival of Sobey. I liked the look of Sobey off the bench a little more than I did in the starting lineup, beside Derek Walton Jr. Maybe it was a less is more situation. But yeah, look, you're not wanting one of your marquee players off the
No,
bench with your best player starting and have only being able to play the same position, do you?
no, it's been an expensive mistake. And look, as much as you'd never like to see someone lose their job, Mike Kelly's season is over, much like my Supercoach season after this round as well. But that's it for breaking news. Let's get into what's next.
Yeah, let's do the game review. Mate, this was a funny week of games. There was lots of blowouts, which wasn't too good for keeping my eyes on the TV.
Hmm.
It turned into just watching, because when these blowouts started to happen, I was losing a bit of interest. But Cairns Taipans versus Perth Wildcats was a banger. Congratulations to those who brought in Rob Edwards and coincidentally had Sam Wardenberg and Akolga Gak, because they were the top scorers for Cairns Taipans. AK Gak started, get this right, AK Gak started both games this weekend, and at the price he was, which was about 150K, yeah, owners that got him in would have been absolutely chuffed.
Yeah. Look, this was probably one of the more relevant games. I had a bunch of Cairns guys. I had Wardenberg. He actually, alongside Cooks, top scored for the round, which was very healthy. I was a little concerned. He had a 50 break even or a 54 break even, something like that. And he ended up going for 68. Was really gutted in the second game when they took him out almost at a double-double. I think he had 9 rebounds. But look, this game could have gone either way. Cotton just shot the lights out, didn't he?
This is prime Cotton. Look, we'd been able to get him at a bit of a discount for now. He goes into a single with a break even of 50 as well. Might slide a little bit, but I think it's next week or the week after. That's when they become very relevant. And yeah, we have been gifted a sub 400K Cotton, which is about the best you can hope for with how good this bloke is. Hey,
Yeah.
just bringing it up. Round 7 it is, where they have the 5 in a row.
Yeah. Look, it was another game that just showed how reliant he is on actual points. He had 35 and Cairns really had no answer for him. But he didn't really contribute a hell of a lot across the rest of the stat sheet. Some real concerns out of this one from Perth. I think we've been Henschel again. He came off the bench, 4 minutes and 14 seconds for bugger all on the stat sheet. Pepper started but only played the 11 minutes and didn't do a hell of a lot more. The real one I saw out of this game, and I'm really, really considering how I'm going to bring him in, is Christian Doolittle. He was exceptional. 36 minutes, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. He's putting together quite the season.
He's been great this year, but I do think this did get inflated a little bit with Keanu Pinder out this one. I don't like playing an inflated price for Doolittle, but he's been absolutely everything to this team recently. I do wonder whether by the time we get to their 5 doubles in a row, I'm hoping Dylan Windler's game, he's going to be about the same price, I would think. I'm thinking Dylan Windler's game's going to be much exactly the same. And you know, Pinder's coming back in. Doolittle we might be seeing a couple of 30s out of Doolittle, which I don't love paying 400K for, which is the huge concern.
Yeah, he's definitely shot up because he started the season around that 270 mark. He was almost new import price. Look, Skittles is jumping in the chat here. Will Henschel get time with Perth's 5 doubles due to Cotton and co workload? What do you think?
No, I think Cotton might honestly play 74 minutes a weekend on
Yep.
these double games, unless he gets injured. Also, the way I see it, Henschel's fell out of John Reilly's favour.
Yep.
He was the guy that was supposed to step up that night that Perth got absolutely pumped. And they started Henschel, and he didn't step up, and Elijah Pepper stepped up the following week.
Yeah.
of the following game. Regardless of whether Elijah Pepper's getting the minutes, Elijah Pepper has the favour of John Rillie at the moment in that role.
Yeah. And we said it from the beginning. We knew Ty Webster was going to be starting, even though he came off the bench in this one. And we said there were some minutes up for grabs at that one spot for Henschel and Pepper alongside Webster. Now, Webster played 23, almost 24 minutes off the bench here. Almost 12 minutes for Pepper, 4 minutes for Henschel. That's pretty close to 40 minutes. That's three guys sharing one spot. And right now, I don't think Henschel is number 3, isn't he?
He is one that I know I said this about Davo Hickey last week, so don't quote me ever again. But he's one that I think the quicker you get him out of the team, the quicker you'll see your cash generation start to pump up your team on the bench and everything. He's a priority trade out for me this week. And even if it means getting less points, I need that cash generation for something. It'll just be about searching for the right cheapie.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're starting to get a bit of the schedule where it's opening up. We've got some other teams popping up. We don't all find ourselves stuck on those same teams now. We can get him out. There's other cash cows. We're getting close to the Brisbane schedule. Some of the cash cows have run their course, but New Zealand's coming in. They haven't had any price rises yet. So even if you move Henschel to forward with that flexibility, there's some guys there. Kareem Lopez is one I've got my eye on. I've got an article coming out on Patreon this week too, doing a deep dive into New Zealand just to refresh our memory now they're becoming relevant too. So make sure you get onto that one probably tomorrow.
That's probably not a bad segue into the fact that we do a Patreon. Look, it helps us drive everything in the background. We're doing a lot of these analytics for ourselves. But yeah, look, if you pop into our Patreon, it's not very expensive. I think we charge $6 a month for you to get all our reviews, all our insights, be able to ask us questions directly. And honestly, once game day pops, everybody pops in, has a little bit of a chat, has a whinge about their teams, or everybody pumps up your tires. It's a great place to be. So duck over to Patreon if you're interested in that. The last two I probably want to mention, and we'll mention them a little bit in the next game, but Kyron Galloway, 21, probably pretty good with his low break even. He covered his break even.
It happened late too. He did nothing for ages, and he padded it late. He was disappointing to say the best.
Yeah, and Pedro Bradshaw, I know a few people brought him in. 24 ended up scoring quite well for the week and stunted that discount that I thought we might have got later on in the year if he found his feet.
Yeah, look, Bradshaw to me, he doesn't even pass the eye test. He looks lost, but he is playing 30-plus minutes a game out of necessity there. So he certainly isn't a Taj McCall replacement, and certainly not in a Supercoach sense. But yeah, look, I think that's probably as good as you can hope for with him.
Mate, Adelaide beating the Sydney Kings was pretty, honestly, exciting. I love watching Sydney lose. I think that they are a little rich boy club that come out there, and them in Melbourne, the fans out there. Look, I'm trying to offend two whole fan bases in one sentence, right? But yeah, just love watching them lose. And Adelaide 36ers, they're down. They grind out there. And Montrezl Harrell with 38 Supercoach points. Take a bow. He was phenomenal in this one.
He went big late too. I think he had a whole heap of offensive rebounds and putbacks in the last 5 minutes that got him that double-double, and then just sent that score flying. He can put points on the board in a hurry, but probably some of the biggest takeaways here, 36, almost 37 minutes for Montrezl Harrell, 38 minutes for Kendrick Davis, 33 for DJ 3J. These guys are playing heavily.
And if you want to be like, you don't become a hated franchise without being a fantastic team. And they just wanted to make sure, they just didn't want to put the cue in the rack and make sure that they took care of them. I really like the way that Kendrick Davis accumulates rebounds and points, even though a little man. Got some steals out there as well. I do really like that. Hump, honestly, if he could have jagged those next 2 rebounds,
The 3
Genuinely,
blocks and the 2 steals inflated that too.
yeah,
He's finding some form.
yeah. Oh, and it's great. But mate, they're with Adelaide. They're going into a bit of a rough patch. You could probably
Very.
hold. I'm gonna say you can hold Montrez a little bit longer and make a little bit more cash if you don't need the money elsewhere. But for me,
Mhm.
Kendrick Davis's time's done. Thank you for your services, sir.
Yeah, look, for me, it's not. I will hold Kendrick for 1 more week. I've got the funds elsewhere to bring PJC in. I think we can get 1 more week out of Kendrick. Just because everyone else is pretty much on a single. He's a viable starter, and it'll give me a bit more to play with next week. He'll hold cash, I reckon. I don't think he'll be too far off his break even. I think it's ridiculous. I haven't looked it up,
It's
but
48. Yeah.
yeah, 48. So look, I don't think he gets it, but if he gets high 30s, which I think is pretty solid, um, look, it's not gonna be the end of the world. I've lost more cash on more people like Lat Mayan, who dropped a 0 in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to scroll down a long way to look at him. Look,
Don't bother.
honestly, when Adelaide's schedule gets good, I'm looking at DJ 3J too. He's been great. But the beautiful man on our front cover,
Mhm.
the king of Supercoach, possibly the best cheapie of all time,
100%.
Kelly Leupepe Lepew. Mate, how good is this man at this? Like the hustle play, the
Mm.
fact that he is built like a brick shithouse. I love
Yeah.
this man.
He literally looks like Joe Dirt on steroids. He's he's been phenomenal. And let me remind you for 1 minute, Matrix, that I called this early in the preseason saying he'd be the starter, he's gonna be a cash cow, and you said, uh. Wish I'd listened to my own advice and held him. He's made about 100K in cash right now. He's phenomenal. Double double, his first double double for the season, and mate, he went on with it. He had a massive weekend, and what did he finish with for the weekend? 57-ish, something like that.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
it was a
sensational.
great weekend,
Yeah, played
especially for
21 minutes
somebody.
in this one. I had the 10 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. 0 turnovers. He is really the one who's in favour ahead of Cam Oliver. Cam Oliver is suffering as a result of how good Leupepe's been.
Yeah, and they've said if you listen to some of the interviews, they've kind of said that Leupepe's just earned his spot. Like they come in thinking it was going to be the Cooks and Cam Oliver show, and
Yeah.
Leupepe is just out there, honestly, like earning every single minute he's getting. And the
Yep.
longer he's out on the floor is just great for super coaches. I don't think that he's somebody I'm going to be starting a lot of weeks, although I think he can in a pinch on a double
Mhm.
now. But mate, there's like to the moon. Like this guy could be 250K.
Oh, I think there's a possibility. And if we get Sydney starting to roll and they get some blowouts, I think they give him a few more minutes. Like he's gone from playing 10 to 14. The last couple of weeks he's playing in the 20s. Um, I think he's phenomenal. He's finding a lot of confidence. We're seeing him pulling up the threes now and hitting that sort of, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dirk Nowitzki turnaround jumper, one-footed thing. He's been good.
Um, Crafty Fat Boy, just shout out. Leupepe Lepew is the man. Hammer, you and Matrix mispronouncing his name made me bring him in. Well, I'm glad that we can bring some joy to the world still. And he's a fake French citizenship. Kendrick Davis, as we spoke about, 28 Supercoach points. The big one in this one was Jalen Adams.
Mhm.
Had some heavy strapping on his back. I think it was just the first quarter. Went off, never came back. 12
Yeah.
Supercoach points, and that was him done for the week. It's not a bad decision if you bring in a captain that had a good schedule that just got injured. It is disappointing for owners, though.
Mm. Yeah, look, he had the 12 Supercoach points in 13 minutes. So he wasn't playing great, but he was going at a point a minute pretty much. Was 1 of 7 from the field, which didn't look fantastic. 1 of 5 from the 3. But he had the steals, he had an assist, and he looked like he was going to put together a score. Um, Look, this was a really yucky game to watch for Sydney. Xavier Cook's holders would have been thinking, "Oh, I'm stuffed." And I remember thinking at this game, You know what? Kendrick Davis with his 28 or whatever he had in the first game is probably going to be a really good call. Obviously, we got to Sunday and the Kings decided to unleash Cooks, but look, I didn't find a lot to like out of this game for Sydney. Cam Oliver was rubbish. They played Tyler Robertson 24 minutes after not featuring all year. It's so up and down, and this is what we talked about pre-season, wasn't it? With just doing it by committee and never knowing who's going to play.
Yeah, I did like that Tyler Robertson got some burnout there. We've been saying that Tyler Robertson is a bad get, and this is a great question, Mr. CBB in the chat. Robertson's minutes are inflated with Adams out, but I think honestly, I'd just love some transparency from NBL teams a little bit earlier. But if we could find out that Adams is out for the weekend, that's enough for me to bring him in. Honestly, Tyler Robertson might even be coming in for Henschel for me. He's going to make some cash just by stepping out on the floor. He's looked kind of good when he's out there. Honestly, like looking at his build at point guard, give me hope that I can still play in the NBL someday.
Yeah, look, he's come in with a reputation out of college as a slinger. He can score. I just thought this was a development sort of timeline for him. They signed him for 3 years. They're obviously high on him, but being so stacked, like where does he fit in normally? Sean Bruce came on and had an absolute screamer in the second game, hitting the 6 threes. But I think the Jalen Adams being out was the biggest factor here. You're probably missing 30 minutes per game, and I think you're gonna. I don't think if Jalen Adams plays that this guy's going to get it.
Yeah, it's only if I get news that Adams is out because I liked what I saw. Sean Bruce just honestly turn back the clock. But
Mm,
yeah, we'll chat about that a bit later on. And like you said, Lap Mayan out there running laps with the 0 Supercoach
yeah,
points.
beautiful.
Illawarra Hawks absolutely pumped your Jack Jumpers. There was
Disgusting.
not a lot to love from the Jackies this week.
Nah, this was horrendous. We can probably skip through this one pretty quickly. Darius Days is phenomenal. Only the 23 minutes due to it being a blowout, but had the 15 points, 9 rebounds. This is my pet hate. Why do coaches take guys out 1 rebound short of a double-double? It's happened at least 3 times this round. But he had the 4 steals and 3 blocks, which took his score to the next level. Outside of that, probably the only one to really talk about is Milton Doyle. He had 7 turnovers in this one and laid an absolute goose egg.
Mate, he was one that I was going to be looking at possibly bringing in on a 1-week play this week.
Yeah.
But with an 88 break even incoming this week, there's absolutely no chance of that. I was disappointed in Will Magnay as well with the 23 Supercoach points. I held on to him. He's dropped a little bit of cash. Even on a double, he's probably going to lose cash. But I genuinely think with them and New Zealand being the only teams on a double this week, he's still the best centre to play on a double this week.
You know, this is going to be a discussion probably for Wednesday night, though. I know Will Magnay's on a double, but let's say we get average Will, 23 and 23, 46.
Average Dick, please.
All right, you know, just that marriage dick. You know, not too big, not too small, just Goldilocks kind of just right shit. Let's say he gets 46 for the round. Are you better off getting someone cheaper who's going to get that and then play the next round after? Like, I don't think it's worth paying up for him.
I don't think it is. I'm talking about it, and it's relevant because I've held him through this. He's dropped not very much. He's dropped $200 this week. Dropped 20K for the year. But genuinely, I own him, and I bought him for this week. And I was hoping for a 30, in which case he would have made a touch this week. But I think we've just got to hold on to him.
I think if you hold him, you've had him for this round. You got to hold, but I don't think you bring him in. I don't hold him currently. Maybe that's why I'm nearing 2,000 in the rankings. But look, I haven't loved what I've seen. If you go back through his game log, we've had that 150 game that we all got excited about. outside of that, is there anything to really love? Is he suffering because of the team around him? Because we talked a lot last year, didn't we? With him backing up Marcus Lee. And we talked about it, like in the cricket. Marcus Lee comes in and faces the openers, and then Magnay gets to come off the bench and face the second stringers and dominate. But maybe he doesn't have that luxury this year.
Takes a bit of shine off the ball. I'd actually, I reckon you'd be a good opening batting partner, Hammer, out there with your little floppy cap and your terry toweling out in the field. I reckon you'd. Is it shortstop you'd like to field at?
Left, right, out is more my position when it comes to cricket, and that's how I'm going to keep it. Yeah.
You didn't take the bait. Shortstop's a baseball position, but Jordan Crawford with the 37 Supercoach points. He is going to do this, and the ultimate risk reward player. I actually had a mate in my DMs that didn't have a lot of money this week. That was looking at bringing in a couple guards, and he ended up bringing in Rob Edwards and Jordan Crawford for the week, which ended up pretty good. But look, we've talked about your Jackies enough. We've talked about Darius Days enough. It's time to talk about the real King Willie in this game. Davo Hickey, 37 Supercoach points. I said last week that you will suffer by holding him, but he absolutely blew up in this one. I think the blowout helped, and maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel better about trading him out. As sort of a second string kind of guy in the blowout, getting extended burn, but he did have an absolute rip snorter.
He did everything we were expecting him to do this year. He just hasn't shown it in the first however many games. He was just going hard, wasn't he? And did it just highlight how bad the Jackies were? He was good. 37 was way above expectation. But look, I'll take it, and you're going to ride him another week with that kind of break even creeping in now.
Yeah, negative break even now. You should not hold basically any Illawarra players. I know I'm probably going to be looking at getting rid of Lockie Ulbrich in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to prioritise getting rid of Ben Henschel over Lockie Ulbrich, though, full transparency. But yeah, look, that's about as much as we need to talk about the Illawarra Hawks. Let's talk about the game of the round, the old toilet bowl down there in John Cain Arena. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, 85, lost to the Brisbane Bullets, 87. Mike Kelly lost his job. Nathan Sobey lost his dignity, and Tyrell Harrison dominated. What'd you see in this one?
Mate, this was all about Tyrell Harrison. 21 points, 17 rebounds, and the 2 steals. I looked at the Supercoach score afterwards, though, and he had, I think it was 43. It felt like it should have been so much more than that, because this was his game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And you know what? The coach was pretty smart with putting Zakarski in, like, just enough to get Tyrell some burn. Like, not that I'm saying Zakarski is relevant, but he's actually playing some really good, meaningful minutes this year, which I didn't see last year. He was playing, what do the kids call it? Garbage time last year. But look, this year he's coming on. We saw him out there down the stretch just to give Rel a little bit of a rest. And mate, this is exactly what we expected from Tyrell Harrison. The schedule just hasn't allowed it. He's got an 11 break even, and he is a guy you could play on a single, especially on these weeks going forward. But he is playing the dreaded New Zealand Breakers this week.
Yeah, we knew that from round one when we all thought he was a captain choice. He struggled against the small ball, and I would like, now I've got a little bit of a bigger sample size, to see where his big scores are popping up, whether it's against genuine senders or if there's some kind of trend we can pick there. But look, the other ones out of this game, Malik Lewis started. He's the next star. He's starting to show a little. Matt Hurt, we've been high on him for a long time. He's going to become relevant. And Derek Walton Jr., he had the 19 points, showed a bit more offensive punch, but it didn't really translate all that well, did it?
No, it's a rough game. It's more looking for something these upcoming games. But Malik Lewis, we've been talking about Karim Lopez a lot. But Malik Lewis with a negative break even going into next week might have just jumped Karim Lopez on my plans going forward. I really enjoyed watching him start. Really enjoyed watching him play. I know that he's not high up, like maybe undrafted on some boards or late second round, but this man can play, and he could be a next star that we see stay in Australia, which I really like. Get your game day cards. Buy some Malik Lewis. He might be staying.
Mm. Yeah, look, the only concern I got there is the change of coach. Like, he's finally found a role in the starting lineup under Mike Kelly. Looked like it worked. Concern here is that Sam McKinnon comes in and says, nah, I'm putting my stamp on the team, and this guy's going to the bench for my boy Nathan Sobey. Yeah. Look, that's probably it from that game. I didn't see a hell of a lot other than some cash cows with Brizzy, like Prather did some work. And Mitch Norton came into the starting lineup here, played 31 minutes, and they moved Bateman to the bench, and he had his best game of the year.
I rate that. I think Bateman was probably nearly on his way home if they didn't make the right moves. I do think Cook and him don't coexist that well. Mitch Norton's a team guy, and I think it's just bringing it up, starting the offense, just playing a bit of smart basketball. So really like Norton in that role, not for Supercoach.
No.
I don't think he'll ever be Supercoach relevant. But he's just going to be keeping on ripping money. But I don't even think Bateman's going to be Supercoach relevant, to be completely honest. But Brisbane looked better. But let's not overreact. They just beat a Southeast Melbourne team that have lost 14 of their last 15.
For sure. But keep Brisbane on your radar. With each week that passes, they become more and more relevant as they start to get into their good stretch of the schedule. Hey, next game, Kings Taipans. Kings won this one 99-73. It was a bit of a blowout after halftime. There's a few things to write home about here, including Xavier Cooks for anyone who owned him.
Yeah, ruined my hopes and dreams. I was thinking it was a moving week, or I'd at least be able to save my spot after saving a trade, just not boosting, playing three guys on doubles only in order to build that cash generation, which is really important for me early on in the year, regardless of rank. I just want to be able to have the flexibility to have the best guys and come home with a wet sail. But Xavier Cook's 49 Supercoach points. Looked every bit of him. Got the double-double, 10 rebounds, 18 points, 8 assists. Got some points with blocks, got some points with steals. The guy was an absolute menace, and I think it was the lack of AK Gack's a center, but it was the lack of a genuine, phenomenal center out there. Yeah. Sam Wardenberg's not the best defender out there. Honestly, probably neither is Cooks. They both cooked on each other.
Yeah. Look, Sydney outside of Cooks were, not amazing. Tui was pretty good. He scored well. Leupepe double-doubled again for his second one back-to-back. A lot of garbage time here. Cam Oliver tried to make that score respectable, but he's dead to me now. But Cairns, the real story for me was Sam Wardenberg. Played the 30 minutes, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. Why are these coaches killing us and taking him out with a rebound before the double-double?
I mean, he still dropped 40. As a non-owner, I'm pretty thankful for that.
You ever heard of a bloke called Higgins Titra? I can't even say
I thought
that.
you're talking about Higgins storm chasing, but yeah, carry on.
I don't know. He's come out of nowhere, played his first minutes, played 5 minutes and outscored Jalen Adams in one game. Had 4 blocks.
Yeah, well played. I'd never heard of him. I think he is just a development player that got some burn because of the blowout. But hey, he was playing a team that started.
I'm just thinking I should have captained him and I probably wouldn't have dropped so much. Galloway was the other story in this after starting, and we were pretty high on him. He only played the 14 minutes, and that 14 minutes was spread out over a couple of stints, and he did not score well at all. Gack jumped back into the starting lineup and seemed to be in favour. And that brings us to the last game of the round, Matrix.
Yeah, it does, and it's Melbourne United. Again, another blowout against the Adelaide 36ers. Jack White just proved that he's a guy that you can play on a single. It was all inside with these guys. Marcus Lee and Rob Lowe scored really well. Those that held... Well, I suppose the story here is blokes that held Jack White and Shea Illy with their break evens of 8 and 9 respectively were rewarded for their loyalty.
Yeah, I held Jack White. He's becoming a bit of a loyal servant. I'll probably hold him for the next few weeks given their schedule. Look, something I did know, I didn't actually watch a lot of this game, but Marcus Lee wasn't in foul trouble, only played the 12 minutes and scored 31 Supercoach points. That's a pretty good outing.
I'm really worried that it is like, does he have a niggling injury? Like, are they like just trying to make sure that he's right for the run home when we're in round 4? Like, it just doesn't really add up.
Yeah. On the Adelaide side of the ledger, though, Kendrick Davis, 17 actual points, 3 turnovers, reduced that score a bit. But Montrezl Harrell, another guy, 12 points, 9 rebounds, taken out of the game before that double-double. Another coach that's killing us.
Yeah. I mean, imagine at the start of the Adelaide double-double, and I told you that Isaac Humphries, with his break-even of about 100,000, would be the player of the next 2 weeks for Adelaide. Absolutely mental. But anyway, I reckon you would have won Team of the Week if you captained Isaac Humphries the last 2 weeks.
You probably would have. And some of these teams of the week have some pretty funky lineups. I get this feeling sometimes with Team of the Week that someone's just started a new Supercoach account and just loaded up on that one team for the week just to win the weekly prize.
I saw a real good one in the comments that said the person with the worst NBL IQ usually wins Team of the Week, having a dig at Matty Granger. So mate, you know what? That's the games. Let's actually head into the standard squeeze. They're our great long-term sponsors. I've got all their gear behind us. I'm of course drinking out of a standard squeeze. This is the 4-in-1. On my way to work, I'm drinking my coffee. It keeps it hot. With one of these little bad boys to slip on top. When I get home and I'm drinking my tinnies or my stubbies, it's keeping it cool for hours. Not that I really need it. It's they're going down pretty quickly. But they've got the little slim line in the back, and you know what? Their standard product, the standard squeeze, is made of food grade quality to keep your spirits there. But get 15% off on us. Use code IFS15. I know we're heading into Christmas. You're starting to think, save some cash. Buy Dad one of those, and they're fantastic. But our team that won the squeeze of the week is Ryan, coach of Gaze Lover, with 426 points. Now, this man did not start Carl Adnam. This man started Rob Edwards in a very similar lineup to Matty Granger's that we mentioned earlier. Captain Xavier Cooks. So would have went into the last 2 games of the season thinking that he wasn't even close, to be honest. Started Montrezl Harrell, had Sam Wardenberg at center. Not that it matters. Trez and Wardenberg could have slid. Had Kendrick Davis, but didn't captain him. Held Jack White. Had Tyler Robertson. Had Lockie Ulbrich and Kelly Leupepe Lepew there on the bench with Benny Henschel dudding it out. Mate, you've won yourself a squeeze pack. Slide into our DMs, and I'd love to talk about the guy leading our squeeze of the week comp some more, but I think we've already sucked off Matty a little bit further. So,
yeah, I mean, there's never too much of a good thing, is there? But yeah, I'm just pumped for him. He's in the chat every week. We love hearing his comments and his thoughts. So I'm rooting for you, man. Keep it up.
Mate, do you want to have a little bit of a chat about the lowest break evens for the next 10 minutes? We've been answering the questions along the way, so there's nothing really relevant there. But heading into this week, who are on the doubles?
Yeah, only the 2 this week. So we got New Zealand returning from the States for their double, and my Jack Jumpers, which look like they're a shadow of their former self.
Yeah, it's true. I was excited to get in a Jack Jumper, but look, realistically, it's going to be about jumping on some breakers, because even though it's round 5, due to their trip to to America. This is the first opportunity we get to pick up some guys there and get that cash grab. And Parker Jackson Cartwright might be the captain option of the year.
I think this is a guy that most of the top coaches have been planning to bring in since the beginning of the season. It's going to be one of those ones where if he goes big, and there's not many captain options this week, I don't think anyone's looking at Doyle, and I think you'd have to be brave to look at Magnay. I really think it's PJC or bust this week. If you can't afford him, find a way.
Yeah, honestly, if you can't afford him, it's week 5. You can rip a boost to get him, nuff someone. And this might actually give us some nuff options because Tyler Robertson has the lowest break even in the comp of -16 at 109K. When I look at Benny Henschel at 103K, I'm looking for absolutely anything to get away from him. Even if it's only a couple week play, I don't expect to be holding Tyler Robertson. I don't expect Tyler Robertson to hit the heights of 200K or anything like that. But I might be able to make 50K and not have Ben Henschel in my team. That's a win for me.
100% it's a win. And that 50K might be the difference to bring in some of these big names that are coming up across the next couple of weeks. We know you got PJC. We know that Perth come into a sweet spot. We know Melbourne and Southeast Melbourne are thereabouts over the next few rounds. It's probably a good time to have some cash spare.
Yep. You know what? You said it, not me. Sometimes it's not what you spend, it's what you save. So, mate, Tyler Robertson, a good downgrade option to get PJC, a good sidestep for Benny Henschel. Do I love it? No. Am I concerned about Jalen Adams? Yes. Was I impressed with Tyler Robertson with Jalen Adams out? Yeah. Another one there was Sean Bruce, and we are seeing a lot of Sydney guys with low break evens due to the fact that it was blowouts and some guys that normally wouldn't get as much burn did.
Yeah.
I think Sean Bruce was good this weekend. I think Tyler Robertson did enough to be the backup point guard. So I don't know how you sit with that.
It's hard because you've got probably 3 guys that all bring something slightly different, but none of them really stand out. So you got Bruce, you got Leupepe, you got Tyler Robertson. They all bring something a little different to the table, but I don't think you can play them all meaningful minutes. They were going through on the telecast, mostly talking about Bruce and Leupepe, saying that on any given night, due to the matchup or what they're trying to do, you're probably going to play one of them. And they rode the hot hand of Bruce this week, but Leupepe struggled to get it together. So I'm just worried that you bring Tyler Robertson in with that break even and we don't see him for another couple of weeks. You don't get a price rise because he doesn't play again.
Yeah, it is a concern. So
yeah,
I'd
be more leaning towards a cash cow like Karim Lopez. I think he had a 0 in his first game, and then he had a 15. We've seen him perform really well over in the States. He's getting time. He's often starting for them. That's what I'm going to be looking at pretty closely.
So Karim Lopez is coming in. He was actually in my plans with a break even of 17. Of course, this is heading into a double.
Yeah, that 0 is going to drop out.
Yeah, so that 0 is going to drop out, and so you've got 15 and whatever he does this week. I think he's proven he's good enough. This is Brooke Lopez's nephew, for those who just found out that I made that up. 115K. That drops. Yeah, that drops out. That drops out, and due to the Henschel rule, and does become relevant. It's harder because I've got Ben Henschel at guard to bring Karim Lopez in.
Interesting.
Mate, we've got your friend Alex Higgins Brestra. It's Titsra. But we've got Kelly Leupepe Lepew with a -12. I genuinely think Kelly Leupepe is still an option even if you miss the boat.
I think he can get on this week. I think his role's increasing because I think he's surprised everyone, not just Supercoach wise, but just straight basketball wise. I think Gorge is loving what he's bringing, and while he's scoring well for Supercoach, he's bringing a lot of intangibles. Have you seen the screens this bloke sets? You see Adams when he's actually not playing with his glass back. he will come off that screen and then he's just looking around. He's thinking, is there a whistle? Why am I so wide open? Like,
Yeah, it's because he just backed out beside the semi trailer, and the semi trailers hit someone.
yeah, man, this guy is creating space. So I think that's more valuable to Gorge than some of the stats. So he's going to keep playing as long as he's doing that.
Mate, touching on the negative break evens, Mikhail Malauk, I'm going to skip over. Taron Armstrong, -3 break even,
Yeah, this is
expected
an
to be
interesting
back
one.
this week.
He is?
That's what they said last week. Just still waiting on some news.
Yep.
I suppose some confirmation out of Cairns.
Yep.
They said he would miss this week and they expect him to be back the following week.
Yeah.
That was a week ago. Haven't heard anything since.
Yeah. And look, it was a rolled ankle. I didn't think it was that bad that he played the entire game. I would hope he's back, but that's another one that I'd be looking at pretty carefully. Like if you're downgrading, say, a Kendrick Davis to a 200K player who's about to make cash, that's going to free up a lot of space to bring in PJC. And we know this is the week where you can play guys on a single.
Mate, another 200K guard that you can do that on, Casey Prather. I know that I have been absolutely preaching for weeks and weeks, but mate, I'm so disappointed that I missed this 66K.
Yeah. Look, I'm converted. I feel like with everything that's going on there, all the reasons that I was pushing out of the universe saying it's not going to work, they proved me wrong. Bannon's back. He's still starting. It's still working. Dengadell has just, he tricked us for a couple of weeks. He's back to Illawarra Hawks Dengadell. He's useless. We've, everything, Sam Mack out. It's all lined up, and Prather is the man, and he's showing why we should be bringing him in. He's still going to make cash. He's going higher than this.
It's got negative break even, 205K. Playing New Zealand, which aren't classically good at basketball, should be a big one.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely consider him. And this may be a week. Like if you're boosting, I don't think you're necessarily boosting outside of bringing maybe PJC in to bring guys in. This is probably a good week to clean up your bench, to get some of the Henschels, the Olbrich, the guys who just aren't performing, a bit of dead wood, do a little bit of a prune. And maybe these are the answers. Your Prathers, your Taron Armstrongs.
You know what? I don't think prune's the word. I believe manscaping is the word that you should be doing. So, one you shouldn't be manscaping to bring in is Will Hickey, because I think the 37 was a flash in the pan. This will come back to bite me one day. People will remind me of this, but I do think what we've seen at the start of the year is close. I think he's an 18 points per game guy.
I think the 37 just delays having to get him out. You're going to have to get him out at some point, but he's bought himself 2 weeks.
Yep, absolutely. And Malik Lewis in there with a -2 break even. Yep. I do like the idea of jumping on him like right now.
Bet you would. You look like that kind of guy.
Yeah, I know. Down and dirty. Is he from the Bahamas?
Yeah, something like that. Hey, look, the absolute god of Supercoach has jumped in the chat right now. Is Menenga a must-have with schedule and price? This is a guy I've been looking at pretty carefully, and he does feature in the Patreon article we'll be putting up tomorrow. What are your thoughts on Big Sammy?
Yeah, he's in for me. I'm going to be bringing in Sam Menenga, 155K. I think if I had to cap him, I think that he's a 220K guy that you're getting for 150K with the expanded role, not playing beside basically his twin brother in Sam Wardenberg. I think he's basically New Zealand Breakers Sam Wardenberg, if you'd like a comparison.
That's a pretty solid analogy, and I think he's shown that he's their guy at centre, though. They're not going with Bolden. We know Gillespie's a bust. I think that's his spot, and he's probably going to be around that low 20 to mid 20 minutes a game. And he stretches the floor. I think there's certain matchups that are really going to suit him.
Yeah, I think so. He's honestly, I was praying and hoping that he did what he did in the first couple games, and I
Yep.
really like the look of him in the NBL NBA games that I've watched as well. Thanks, Dad, for paying for my Foxtel subscription. I stole his login and was able to watch those games. But yeah, look, just really enjoyed watching Sam Menenga play at 154K. Seems like a steal. With these NBA, NBL games, we've been absolutely gifted an extra week to make
Yeah.
these
And we
decisions. So.
we know they're thin up front. I mean, they're playing Max Darling at the 4, which is an absolute trap. Don't even look at that guy. But I think Menenga, he has a solid floor, but he has a pretty low ceiling. I don't see him really dropping any massive scores.
No, yeah. I think like he's a 20 point per game guy. He's a 220K guy that's
Yeah.
Just
be
out
happy
there
with that.
playing. I was hoping to get in 3 New Zealand Breakers players. I'm
Can't
not
find
sure I'll be able to find them.
No. I think the ones that we were hoping for haven't panned out. Bolden,
Yep.
no good. Matt Mooney may be a look, but I think he's not going to generate cash. I think he's probably at best priced at that new import price.
No,
It's
I'm
hard
with
to
you.
play alongside PJC.
Yeah. And PJC is averaging 50 for the year, which is
Yep.
absolutely. But it's crazy to think that he's coming in with a break even of 65, and I expect him to rise in cash.
It's phenomenal that you're calling a guy who's priced well over 400K a cash cow.
I don't know if I've ever used the word must have in a better sentence than Parker Jackson Cartwright this week. And I think that is a really good point to end the podcast on. So we can reward listeners that stayed here to the hour and 1 minute mark.
100%. And if you don't
Mate,
have him, everyone else is going to have him.
Yeah, exactly. You just need to, there's no real reason to fade him. He is going to make cash. He is going to score points. He is going to be the best captain option this week. If Milton Doyle jags being better than Parker Jackson Cartwright this week, it's by 5 points. And you lose money on getting Milton Doyle. You lose money on bringing in Will Magnay and captaining him. Parker Jackson Cartwright is him.
Yeah, and it's not a 1 week rental either. They have the best schedule over about the next 7 rounds. We'll probably have a look at this a bit deeper on Wednesday night when we look at the preview show. But yeah, look, there's a little bit of a breadcrumb for you. PJC is it.
Sounds good, man. Look, that wraps up the show. Thanks for sticking around with us till about the hour mark. We've been trying to get it to an hour all year, and this is about the first time that we've succeeded. We'll be back on Wednesday, which is a bit better than the review show. We're going to talk trade thoughts. We're going to talk captain options, and we're going to preview the week ahead and help you move up in stocks. We're probably going to have another chat about strategies, about whether you boost, whether you're trying to make rank this week, whether you're going to make money this week. We're going to give you a few different options, so at least you know what you're getting in for with the trades that you're doing this week.
100%. If you want anything between now and Wednesday, jump on the Patreon. There'll be some articles dropping tomorrow. A little bit of deeper analysis, some stats chat, that kind of stuff.
And I won't be on the Patreon because I'm on my rose gold iPhone 3. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast.